Welcome to Global Forum for Teacher Educators. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here this morning to speak to you. My name is Melody Buckner, and I am a professor at the University of Arizona, which is located here in the United States. And I'm going to be speaking to you about some topics that are really near and dear to my heart. This was kind of what got me excited about going on my educational journey and completing my PhD program. So I'm going to be talking to you about digital storytelling and how it relates to identity. And so I'm hoping today that you'll be able to take some of the resources that I'm going to be sharing with you into your own classroom. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see, here we go. So here's kind of an overview of my talk today. Please excuse me, I've been a little sick, so I have a little bit of tea and honey and lemon so that I might be sipping on because my voice is a little raspy today. So I apologize for my deep, raspy voice today. I hope you have no problems understanding me and hearing me. So here we go. The overview. We're going to talk about some theories and some thoughts that I've had, and then I'm going to dive into some practice to show you how I've applied these theories and these thoughts in my own practice and what I'm doing around that. So I hope that that will be helpful to you in your own practice. Okay, so the first theory we're going to be talking about is funds of knowledge. This is a theory that actually comes out of my university, and I'm excited to share that with you. And then I'm going to be talking about constructivism and experiential learning. Those might be some theories that you're familiar with because they're kind of universal. And then I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the digital divide and access, because I do deal with digital technologies. That's kind of what I oversee at the university. My title is I'm the Associate Vice Provost for Digital Learning and Online Initiatives. So I'm always very concerned when we're using technologies in the classroom that we are making sure that everybody has access. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That's going to be my theories and thoughts. Then we're going to go to practice. And I'm going to talk to you about my own digital storytelling practice and storytelling in general used for an assessment practice. And then I'm going to show you an application that I'm actually involved with a nonprofit that I'm on the board for. And then finally, I'm going to share a rubric with you that you'll be able to take into your own classroom. And it is free and it is open. It's an open educational resource. So I hope at the end of this 30 minutes, you will actually have some things to take away with you and walk into your classroom. Okay, so let's get started. First off, oh my goodness, my screen is kind of small. I'm going to have to take my glasses off here and help out a little bit. First, I want to talk to you about the funds of knowledge. Well, it doesn't work as well. Okay, so let's talk about the funds of knowledge. This was a theory that's really grounded in that the bodies of knowledge and skill are essential for the well-being of the entire household. Become funds of identity when people actively use them to define themselves. So that's kind of what the funds of knowledge is. I'm going to read this next sentence and then I'm going to talk to you about it. Funds of knowledge are strategies, adaptations, and knowledge that families develop to assist them in their daily lives and which can be drawn upon as a basis for learning academic concepts and procedures in the classroom. And then there's a really small link down there. These slides I will make available to everyone. I would encourage you to go to that website. I'm not going to go to that website. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the funds of knowledge. But that website really goes deep into this theory. Basically, the researchers had observed that when second language learners are coming into the classroom, they don't come into the classroom with a blank slate or emptiness. They come in with full knowledge. They have a funds of knowledge. Even our young 5 and 6 year old kindergarten and first grade children come into the classroom with a lot of knowledge. A lot of times we want to treat children like they're blank slates, but they're not. They have so much information that they have learned from their parents, from their brothers and sisters in their homes, and they're bringing that knowledge into the classroom. And what we want to do is we want to empower them and treat them as human beings and as individuals and say, you are worthy because you are bringing a wealth of knowledge into a classroom, whether it be their language, whether it be their culture, whether it be their food they eat. And so we want to honor this as educators, that every child that comes into your classroom has a unique funds of knowledge. I love this theory because it really makes every person that's in my classroom a little different and a little more human to me. So that's the funds of knowledge. That was the first theory that I wanted to share with you. The next one, I'm going to take a little drink real quick, is constructivism and experiential learning. And this is what I based my research off of when I was doing my digital story research. This is where the learner is actively constructing knowledge rather than passively taking in information. Learners come to the educational setting with many different experiences, ideas, and approaches to learning. And it's really good to be able to give learners agency or choice over how they want to learn something, because it could be the difference between them walking away, falling asleep, going to their phone. You want to keep them engaged. So giving them a little bit of choice in how they learn something can maybe be that magic that keeps them engaged. Learners do not acquire knowledge that is transmitted to them. Rather, they construct knowledge through their intellectual activity and make it their own. And this is what I was trying to go for when I was having students tell stories, create stories about their own unique learning experiences. And I'm going to dive deeper into this when I talk about my research, but I just wanted to cover this theory really quick. I also wanted to talk about the digital divide and access to technology. And this was real important to me when I was doing my research. I wanted to make sure that all my students had access to technology and had access to the information so they could be successful. So the question I ask is, does every student who enters the classroom have the opportunity to achieve their full potential? Think about that. Think about that every time you're in a classroom and you're looking around at your students. Technologies are emerging in schools with more reliance on computers, on the internet, and now we have artificial intelligence, which is a whole new, at least to us, to where I am, it's all new to us. However, there has been little consideration for the potential impact upon how effective, how equitable, and how ethical teaching and learning practices are. So I'm in the teaching and learning field at the university. I work in the Teaching and Learning Center. So we help prepare our teachers to go into the classroom. And so I'm always talking to teachers about thinking about the choices that they're making with their technology. Is it going to be effective for the learning outcome? Is it going to be equitable? Are all your students going to be able to participate? And are you considering the ethics of that technology? So those are some of the things that you need to consider when you're choosing a technology for your classroom. Okay, so those were my thoughts and my theories that I wanted to cover with you. Let's go on to the digital storytelling. This is my research, and I love my research, so I get a little passionate about it. I'm going to tell you why I went in to study this and give you a little bit description of it. There is the link. If you want to go to this link, if you can see this, if you have your device, I don't know if I'm going to go to the website or not, but it will tell you everything you need to know about my research. My research title was Digital Storytelling as an Assessment Practice in Study Abroad Programs. And I got interested in this topic because I would sit in my office next to the study abroad programs, and students would come in. Oops, let's see. Yeah, let's just leave it on this for right now. I would need to go to not this, but to, I don't know if I can find it. Okay, it would be this one right here. See if that, I don't know if that's going to come up or not. See what it comes up for now. I don't know. No, let's not worry about going to the website. I don't know how to make that happen. So, okay, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to allow you to go to these websites, and I will make these slides available to you so you can have these websites for yourself. I would be sitting next to students, or students would come into my office after they had been on their study abroad programs, and they would be so excited to tell me all the things they had learned. They were telling me not only about their learning outcomes from the program they had been in, but they were also telling me about the culture and the language and the people and the music. And they were just so excited. And then I would say, so how was your teacher testing you or assessing you about if you had what you had learned? And then all the energy would flow out of these students, and they would say, oh, I had to write a scholarly paper, or I had to do a presentation. And I just saw all the joy and passion kind of leave their bodies. And I thought to myself, wow, if we could assess these students through storytelling so that we could get that passion, we could keep that passion and that energy all the way through the assessment period and then sharing it beyond, it would be magical. And so that's what I did. I did a 4-year study. I went to 3 different sites, Rwanda, Africa, where they explored the gorillas. I was a little nervous about that one. We went to Italy, where we explored nutrition and food. That was wonderful. Went to Mexico City in Mexico and studied the history and the government. That was fascinating. And then we went to Guanajuato, Mexico, where it was a teacher's training program, and we worked with rural populations of children. Each one of these programs was very different from the other, and each one of them was able to apply the digital storytelling project. And out of this, go to my next slide. Out of this, these were my findings. I found that storytelling assisted with the reflection process in meaningful ways and through the student's own personal experience. It also helped kind of mold their identity, because what I found is that when students traveled to other places, they became kind of a new person. They took on, just new ways of thinking and new perspectives. So I loved how it even impacted their identity. The next finding was creative assessments can enhance the learning experience. I found that instead of just straight writing, when they got to add their pictures and their music and their voice, their own voice, it became, it became 3-dimensional in a way that just the straight writing doesn't have all of those emotions. Giving them a little agency over a multimodal way of expressing themselves. We live in a world where we have multimedia around us. Our students are exposed to sounds and pictures and videos all day long. And yet sometimes they come into our classroom, and yes, writing is important, but we need to take that writing to the next step and have them actually produce some creative, artifacts or projects for them to show. And I see excitement in that. And then the last thing that I found that was really important is agency or choice, which I spoke to a little earlier. And that is giving students even a little bit of a choice in how they demonstrate their learning can go a long way to engaging them in the actual learning and the sticking of the learning. So those were the things that I learned. I learned a lot. I've published on this quite a bit, but these were the 3 big takeaways I wanted to share with you today. So let me take you to, or let me tell you about my next portion, which is the implementation. So it's how I've taken what I've learned over the more than a couple of years, because as you can tell, I'm kind of old. And I applied it to a nonprofit. And I'm going to tell you about this nonprofit. Several years ago, while I was working at the university, I had a young man approach me who had been a tennis professional. And then he had gone to graduate school, and he was very interested in human rights. And he had come to Arizona. And if you don't know the geography of Arizona, Arizona sits right next to California in the United States, but on our border below us is Mexico. And, if you've watched any of the politics of the United States lately, there's some issues that go on our borders, like there are on borders around the world. And this young man, he decided he wanted to make a difference. His name is Charlie. And he decided to create a nonprofit and take his tennis experience and have children on both sides of the border learn how to play tennis and learn to talk to each other and exchange with each other in tennis. But he not only wanted to do tennis, he wanted to work on their identity. And so he found me, and he found my digital storytelling project. And he asked me if I would implement my digital storytelling project in his nonprofit. And so Charlie and I started working together about 10 years ago. And his nonprofit has flourished. It has grown. It has grown way beyond what he intentionally started with. If you'll look, you'll see that there is a link here. It's called bitetennis.org. And there's a whole area where you can see his students talk about their identities. Some of it is in Spanish, some of it is in English. But the name of the nonprofit is Border Youth Tennis Exchange. And it is a multinational youth development organization that combines sports, art, tech-based education, and job readiness training for kids and adults. And I've been to visit these sites, and they're wonderful. And they just have a positive energy that I just love, that sometimes we don't hear in the news. We often hear all of the negative aspects of the border. But when I go to the border, I see a lot of positive things going on. I see vibrant communities, and I see people like Charlie who really have a heart for making human rights come alive and having us exchange and learn about each other's similarities and differences. So I just wanted to share this example with you. Please go to that website. It's a beautiful website, and you can see all of the things that Charlie is doing. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to share with you is a rubric. And I would like to, not really sure if I can do the sharing, because I don't know how to do it. So I am going to make sure that you get my rubric. And this was another big takeaway I had from my 4 years of studying, is that faculty, instructors, teachers would come to me and they would say, I love your ideas. I want my students to do multimodal projects, but I don't know how to grade them. I just don't understand how I would ever go about putting a number to, what you're doing. So I came up with a really full rubric, and I just revised it. And it's on my webpage. So if you go to my webpage, you're going to see a link that takes you right to my rubric. It's really big on my webpage because I just revised it and I just published a chapter in a book on it. So I want people to have access to this. But let me just go over the rubric verbally with you really quick. First, before I take you through the rubric, I want you to know that creativity is highly personal. A lot of times people put a lot of themselves into creativity, and you don't want to squash or hurt that creative spirit. So make sure you're using this rubric as a carrot to entice them and not as a stick to bat down their creativity. So that's one thing that I did learn from my study really quickly. My first 2 years, I sent a postdoc into the field, and she used my rubric as a stick. And the students, they came back and they said, I hated this, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to put myself out there. And I was like, oh my, that's not good. So the next 2 years when I went with the students, I used the rubric as a carrot, and I gave the students agency. And the difference in the quality of what I received from the students was amazing. So please think about that when you're using any kind of a rubric. But let's go through the rubric a little bit. And I'm sorry I can't bring it up for you, but you have access to it. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that I look for when I am looking at a multimodal or a multimedia project. I want to look at the purpose. Did the project actually fulfill the learning outcomes that I was trying to achieve? I actually look for a plot, a theme, and a resolution. And this is the art of storytelling. And there is a whole art to storytelling that has nothing to do with the multimedia. It's the starting, the rising to the plot, the top of the story, and then the coming down and finishing of the story. And it's a wonderful technique to teach your students, is how to tell stories properly. It's voice. It's having your own voice. What does your voice sound like? That's why I'm a little concerned about the artificial intelligent voices that I'm hearing. I'm really concerned about that and the ethics around that. So that's something that I haven't built into the rubric, but it's something that I definitely am thinking about. There's also the sound, the emotion, and the tone. This is the music, the emotion in the voice, the emotion in the music, the tone, whether it's excited, whether it's calm. There's some beautiful examples of digital storytelling on my website. If you go there and you can kind of scroll through, there's all sorts of examples of beautiful, beautiful stories. Then there's the content and the reflection. I always like students to do reflection in projects because I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of what they have learned, and I want to hear about their process. And then finally, the economy, the time, and the pace. You don't want people to just talk on and on and on. They actually need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and making sure that they are not just talking a lot of a lot of just, you can tell that they haven't really prepared a script and have done this professionally. So that's my rubric. And that is actually my presentation. So going to the last slide, this is how you can contact me. That is my email. That's my website, the second one. The third one is my actual title, my professional page at my university. The fourth one is my teaching page at the university. And then the fifth one is my LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out to me in any way that you want. And with that, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.
Let us check the questions now.
Oh my, there's a lot going on. It's hard for me to see all this. Put on my nerdy glasses to see if I can see anything.
Melody, the first question is on the screen.
The first question is on the screen. Is it possible to adapt the rubric? Absolutely. The wonderful thing about the Open Educational Resource license that I have given this rubric is that you can take that rubric and you can make that rubric your own. So yes, please feel free to do whatever you want with that rubric. Do we have a digital storytelling tools for kids? Oh, I don't really have one for children because I teach at the university level. There is a tool called VoiceThread. It is free. I don't know if you have access. I don't know how it is, if it's accessible all over the world, but it's just VoiceThread, VoiceThread.com. You might go and see if your kids might want to use that. It's a technology, but not so much it can be used for storytelling. How often do you use reflection from students? I use reflection every single week. Every week I have my students write reflections. So reflections are a big part of how I really get to know my students and how I get to know what's going on in their lives and how what they're learning in the classroom can be applied to what's going on in their personal lives. So every week. Can we use the theory of multiple intelligence? Absolutely. I love that theory. That's one of my favorite theories, especially when it comes to agency or choice. And I think that's something that you can be transparent with your students about too. Taking it down to the level that they will understand it, of course, but talking about the different ways of multiple intelligence. So yes, great theory. Thanks for bringing it up. Oh, that's a great thing. I love that. I love that. That is a great use of digital storytelling. And the folks who teach in our Spanish and Portuguese department are also using that technique. Great. How many times the repetition of stories can be done get the maximum output of the rubric? Oh, I don't know. That's a good one. I guess you're talking about scaffolding. So if you are having students redo their stories and come back, I think that's what you're talking about. I would say probably 2 or 3 times. Okay, can we easily overcome time barrier in creating rubrics? And if there's language barriers along with? Can we easily overcome time barriers in creating rubrics? Rubrics, to me, rubrics are I walk a timeline. I walk a fine line with rubrics. I told you about my carrot stick. Sometimes I think rubrics restrain students. Excuse me for saying it. Because I think students use them too much as a guide, and I want students to be creative. And so I'm very careful with rubrics. And so when I craft a rubric, I take a lot of time in doing it. And then I really talk to my students about how I want them to use that rubric. Which name of this tool is? I'm not sure what that question. Which name? Can you give tips for storytelling? Oh, gosh. There's so much to storytelling. I should start doing research just on storytelling. There's so many resources out there for storytelling. The best thing, it depends on which level you are. Can we use it at the university level? Absolutely. Absolutely. The best way to use storytelling at the university level is what I call the elevator pitch. So, and I do this with my university students, and I'll tell you a quick story. I had a group of students that I was taking, and we were walking near the university president's office. And I said, I'm going to take you over. And I said, and if the president were to come out and he were to say to you, tell me your story, tell me who you are, and you have 2 minutes, what would you tell the president of the university? Would you tell them where you're from, why you're here, what your major is? But you have to craft it for like, and we use elevator because sometimes you'll be in an elevator and you only have a minute in the elevator with someone to tell them a story. So you have to think about how you're going to do that. And as we're walking over, I said to my students, oh, and by the way, I know the president of the university and I might knock on his door. And all of a sudden the students got very serious about crafting their storytelling. So yes, you can take it to that level. That's really serious. And this is really important when it comes to identity. Do you have experience on sharing your knowledge for migrant storytelling? Any specific topics you'd like to suggest? Yes. This is what Charlie really works with on the border. And it's just heart-wrenching and it's heartwarming to hear people's stories. One thing I think you have to start with is building a relationship with that person. You have to make that person feel that they're safe in telling their story, that they're not going to be harmed. So there's some things that have to really happen with migrant storytelling. A lot of pre-work that happens before you actually get to the story itself. And then you have to be empathetic and you have to be a good listener. And you have to know that you don't always understand what they're going through, and you have to own that. And so it's really important. And I've watched this again and again, and I have just been so impressed and so, I guess my heart has been so touched by it. How storytelling helps teaching of science. Oh, I love this question. I love this. Again, I'll tell you a story. My son was doing a physics project, and he was having to figure out how this little car rolled down a ramp, and he was having to do the calculations of it. And I said, well, and I got my phone out and I got my camera on, and I said, I want you to explain to me everything that's going on with this experiment that you're doing. And he's like, okay. And so he started and he showed me and he explained it to me. And he actually told me the whole story and he put all the science into it, even the equation. So I think some storytelling can be used very powerfully in science. And I just showed you the physics one. I guess how can a story can be applied to physics? I just told you a story about a physics example. See, do we have any others? You guys are a great audience. I love it.
Just a minute.
I love reading the chat and seeing everybody's from all over. Okay, one of the best techniques which I'm using in my classroom, my students love to make their own stories and share them with their classmates. Of course, yes. I have many articles and projects about this technique. Thanks for sharing your methods with us. I'm so glad you're using that. Children, adults, everybody loves to tell stories. I mean, that's why we gather. I think that was one of the things during COVID that kind of made me sad, is that we kind of lost connection with each other. And I love that we're back together. I love to see people gathering and telling stories and laughing and sharing just their lives. So I think it can be so folded into the learning process. And that's what will make learning, I guess, the love of learning and engaging with each other so special. Storytelling is the best way to promote ethics and teaching moral lessons. Absolutely. Does your rubric support them too? Yes, absolutely. It does. And I agree with you. How storytelling helps to develop social values. Well, I think it goes back to just that last comment. I think storytelling can help with ethics, telling morals. I mean, if you think about it, if you go back in time, when we first started learning, how did we first start learning? We started by sitting around the campfire, by telling stories around the fire, by our elders, by our grandmothers and grandfathers telling us stories, passing along. That's that funds of knowledge that I talked about at the very beginning of our session. Those are all the things that are wisdom from our culture that we need to embrace, and we need to make sure we pass it along not only to our children and our family, but to our children in our classrooms and the adults in our classrooms too. Thank you. This has been fun and lovely. I always enjoy sharing my research with all of you. Yes, I can stay. I guess you will just take me off the stage.
Welcome to Global Forum for Teacher Educators. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I just want to make sure you can hear me, though. I'm Dr. Deidrea Leonga, and I will be joining you today. Let me make sure. Oh, good. Okay. I think you can hear me. Yes. Okay. I am just hopping on. So, who am I speaking to today? Where are you from? I want to see. Oh, Fari, I see you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning, Maha. I think I pronounced your name. Christina. What's up, girl? Vilma, Maria. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. Good, 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 good. All right. I don't think I have a lot of. Oh, Romania's here. You know what? Every time I do something, Romania and Pakistan, you guys are always on point in support. So I just want to thank you this morning. This presentation makes me feel absolutely like this is my area here. This is where I thrive. This is where I have the most fun when I am speaking to educators and talking about our craft. So I am so excited to be here today. I see the Philippines are here. Who else is here? Let's see. Christina. Where are you from, Christina? If I missed it. Okay. Let me turn myself down in the background. Okay, Bosnia. Okay, great, 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 great. Sri Lanka, I think is the correct way to pronounce it. I love it. Well, thank you all for coming. I know that we are on a time restriction here, so I don't want to belabor you too long. But today, if you have seen me do any presentations, you know that I always talk about instructional leadership. So if you are on here today, hey Mexico, I love it. If you are participating today, I want you to let me know whether or not you are an instructional leader. Do you feel like you are an instructional leader? Just type yes in the chat or no in the chat or progressing. Okay. Yes or no. Are you an instructional leader? Yes or no. Are you an instructional leader? Okay. I see some yeses coming in. Hey, Pakistan from Karachi University. Thank you for watching. I see progressing coming in. I see some more yeses coming in. Progressing. Someone said no. Thank you for being courageous enough to say no. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. I see a lot of yeses and progressing. And I've only seen one person courageous enough to say no. We are all professors in our own right up here. So, you know, anytime someone asks you or an instructor asks you a question, we never ask questions that we don't know the answers to. Okay. I see a da. Okay, great, great. Yes, yes. Everyone is saying yes. Okay. Now, in few words, I can't tell you how many, but in few words, I want you to tell me what you think an instructional leader is. Okay. Don't give me long paragraphs because I can't read all those. So it has to be in few words. Christina said there's always more to learn. I see a lot of yeses on here. That's very, very good. Okay. Yes. Okay. What is an instructional leader? I want you to tell me that. What is an instructional leader? What is an instructional leader? What is an instructional leader? Then I have one more question from you. Persuasive and inspiring. A person who can guide your team in the correct way. Very good. Empathy, strong decision power. Very good. Okay. A guide to reach towards goal. A learning catalyst. Ooh, Rhoda. Nice. A learning catalyst. That should be on a t-shirt. Like we should all make t-shirts and just say that, well, oh, listen, I'm wiping here because I see that my makeup is not like, so I just want to make sure it is. Empowering God. Listen, Rhoda, a learning catalyst, that needs to be on a t-shirt for all of us. Like, you need to make those t-shirts and get it out to us as quickly as possible. Inspiring students. Good. Education provider. If you have 23 students, you are number 24. I love it. 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 Versatility, a model for their team. Very good. A mentor. Student-centered leadership. Okay. I love it. Improve student outcomes. Very good. Very good. Okay. Thank you for giving me only a few words. Now, I see that there are 126 people on here. And what I want you to do, all 100, we're at 130 now. I want you to tag somebody, an educator. I want you to tag an educator, okay? If you're an educator on here and you have other education friends, I want you to tag somebody so they can join, because we're at 134. I would love to get to 200. And that's easy to do with you guys on here. It's easy, okay? Mentor. I see that. Okay, listen. Now, the last question I'm going to ask you before I hop right into what I wanted to talk to you about today is, what level of schoolwork are you doing? Like, are you working with small kids? Are you working with teenagers? Are you working with college students? So let's leave it like that. Small kids, teenagers, college students. Primary, I see primary. Very good. Okay, primary. Secondary school, love secondary. I spent a lot of time in secondary. Primary, I think the hardest grades, I think, are the really early years. Very, very early years. Okay, high school, Carmen. I love high school. And it's football season. It's time for everybody to support our kids and go to those games. I do not miss it. Okay, secondary school, secondary. Okay, great. I see a lot of secondary people on here. Very good. School garden. Now, Mahalia, I don't know what school garden is. I'm going to assume that it's primary. I see teenagers, college instructor. I tip my hat off to you. Primary school. Okay, university students. I love it. Listen, we're at 145. I need you to tag your people. Let's go. Because what I'm going to say today is super, super important. Okay. And is going to help no matter what you're on. And I said that was the last question, but no. You know what? I'm going to let it be the last question. So you guys, I thank you for being engaged today as well. Listen, I am a school improvement expert. I have spent many years. If you have been with Global Forum for Teacher Educators for any length of time, then you've seen me over the past few years on here, okay? So I want to talk to you. A lot of the information I give you is from working with struggling students, okay? And I know this probably won't be politically savvy, it might not be politically correct, but they are indeed low performing schools, the schools that I work with. Now, what I found in working with students who are of a higher level is that the information that I discovered in working with low performing schools also works in on any other platform. But we know that when we're working in schools where the students come in and they're already on a particular level, a lot of times that's not where our expertise shines. If you're an educator and you work with students that are not, that are struggling students, or that are always in need of improvement, that always have learning gaps, that's where you shine as a teacher. I believe that is where you shine. I'm not saying you can't shine with higher level students, because you can, but it is much more difficult to shine. So when I see a teacher working with higher level students and I see those higher level students growing at a rapid pace, I tip my hat off to them because I know that they are really putting that work in. Okay. But in low performing schools or schools that have students with large gaps, that is where I see a lot of teachers shining. It's also where I see a lot of teachers quitting. It's also where I see a lot of leaders quitting. And so what I've discovered over the years is this is happening because we lack instructional leadership. So when we go to school to learn how to be a leader, we get a lot of information about just regular operations. We get a lot of information about the curriculum. We probably in this day and time get lots of information about data collection and disaggregation, but we don't get a lot of information about how do you pull all of that together in order to make sure students are growing and students are learning. So really for the past, I don't know, maybe the past 2-3 years, I have really been stuck on instructional leadership. Instructional leadership. And so that's why I asked, are you an instructional leader? Because today I am going to go through the layers of instructional leadership. Now, before I get started, I got to make sure that you're still in with me. Okay. So let me see a high five or a yes if you're ready to get started and learn about the 3 layers of instructional leadership. I want to see this engagement. Let's go. I want a high five or a yes if you are ready. Okay, I see yes. I see yes. Very good. I love it. I love it. I love it. This group is so interactive, and that's why I almost always say yes whenever Dr. Munir is asking me to do a webinar on here, because you guys are so interactive. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the love. All right. And thank you for your ears. Okay, thank you, Hamadullah. He said, you're absolutely right, ma'am. Okay, so I noticed that there was a lack in instructional leadership. So what was happening was, whenever, if you are in central office or you are in a position to hire instructional leaders, this is why when you hire that person, it probably doesn't work out, or they quit, or they're too frustrated, or they get to a certain climax and they level off, right? What I'm getting ready to tell you today is why they do that, okay? This is why if you are a school principal or you are a headmaster in your country of any kind, this is why you see your building, you have all these great plans over the summer or before school starts, you have all of these great plans. But when school starts, it's like Hunger Games, right? It's survival of the fittest, and it's whoever can get to the end of the year. Like that's how it works. And if you agree with me, I want you to put up a peace sign in the chat if you agree with me, right? That's what's happening. You have so many different plans, and when school starts, it looks like the plan is starting very well, and then it just tapers off, and it's like survival of the fittest. And you just get to a point as a leader, you're just looking at your teacher saying, hey, I just need you to do what I ask you to do. And then the teachers are frustrated and they're saying the same thing to the kids. All of this is happening because we lack instructional leadership. Our schools are low performing because we lack the instructional leadership in order to make them high performing, right? So yes, very good. Very good. Agreed. Thank you, Salima. I see that Salima is agreeing with me. Thank you. All right. So now let's talk about what is instructional leadership. All right. So I know, or I teach, I have some coaching, some professional leaders that I coach. And when I coach them, I teach instructional leadership. I have a instructional leadership masterclass that I teach, and some of that I am telling you today. All right. So, instructional leadership, what is it? There are 3 layers to instructional leadership. And as I'm going through the layers, I want you to measure yourself and see if this applies to you. If you are that instructional leader, I'm going to tell you now that if you are only 1 or 2 of any of the 3 that I mentioned today, you are not an instructional leader. Okay. I know we're supposed to, be positive, but listen, can I be myself? Jesus, can I be myself today? Okay. When I go through these 3 layers, if you're only 1 of the 3 or 2 of the 3, you haven't made the cut yet. It doesn't mean that you won't make the cut. It just means that today, as I'm talking to you, you haven't made the cut yet. And that is why your school is where it is. Okay. The sooner you become an instructional leader, the better off your school will be. Now, that's whether you are a teacher, whether you are a leader, it does not even matter. Okay. Now we're up to 148. I need you to tag somebody and add them on to this live. All right, let's go. First layer of instructional leadership is operations. I like to go there because when you become a leader, operational leadership is probably one of the easiest ways to go. It does require a lot of thinking and strategy, right? So it is important. And I got these 3 layers because I worked on a high performing team one year, actually for multiple years in a high school. And we had some people on our team that were good in operations. We had some that were good in other areas. And we were all good in our own right. I mean, we were experts in our own lanes. And that was good. But until we were able to think about all the other lanes, we weren't able to really be a high performing team. So if you're saying, well, I can just hire somebody who's good in this one area, then you're still missing the point. Every person, if you're putting together a team, every person on your team has to now be developed to be good in all 3 areas. All 3 areas that I'm going to mention today. Okay. And on that high performing team, we fussed all the time. It was like at first we were storming, guys. We butt heads all the time, right? And we butt heads all the time because every person was passionate about their own lane. Okay. Every person was passionate about their own lane. Look, and if someone were to give me a name, it would be the lip gloss or webinar facilitator because it never fails. I'm always putting lip gloss on my lips during a webinar. But anyway, and every person was fighting in their own lane or supporting their own lane. And every person felt like their part was super, super important and superseded the other person's part. And, you had all these people that were highly intelligent, but, we were storming, we were butting heads. But I figured it out. I figured out that each person on the team, until we learned and could be cognizant of each other's lanes, there was no way for us to bring it together to make that student support. We would always hit a climax and level off. And it doesn't matter what systems you put in place, you won't supersede that climax. It'll always be like this, right? So today, the information I'm going to give you is going to help you to go higher, because I want you to go higher. Put that in the chat. Let's go higher. I want you to put it in chat. Let's go higher. All right, let's go. So the first layer is operations. Operations has to do with scheduling, right? It has to do with organization and structure. Operational leaders tend to be very good with discipline, right? So if you are or you have been a person that says, you know, I spend so much time in discipline. Thank you, Shalala. Higher. I need to see that in the chat. Public speaking art for me. Okay. So they are usually the people that are handling discipline. So if you hear someone saying, or if you are that person that say, I spend so much time with discipline, I spend so much time with the children or with our students, I can't get to the other parts of my day, then this is probably this area, and one other area I'm going to mention today is probably where you are, right? Operations. They value discipline. They value order. They value structure. They value telling a teacher what to do and expecting the teacher to be able to do it without me training you a lot. Without they want a lot of people around them that are self-starters, right? And how many of you know that we're in education? So we're in a place of learning, which means if you're a leader, you have to be able to train. Okay. So yes, these are operational people. They're the people that put together with ease our graduation. They're the people that put together any organizing events on campus, any of those things, anything that only requires knowing what the situation is and quickly fixing it and having a tangible result. That is an operational leader. Okay. Now, that's the good part of that is we need that, right? Someone has to schedule, if you're in the US, someone has to schedule these fire drills. Someone has to make sure we follow through and get some things done. You know, someone has to be checking on the attendance if you're in the US, because that's how we get our money. If you're in any other country, you guys have the luxury of other things, but someone has to do these things. So there's nothing wrong with this operational person. And guess what? If your school is low performing and you bring in an operational leader, immediately you're going to see a spike in student performance. But do you know why? It's because that leader knows how to organize and structure that building, and they're going to make sure that the students come to school. They're going to make sure that the students are in class. They're going to handle the discipline. They're going to make sure the teachers have whatever support they need. They're going to make sure they order whatever needs to be ordered or that someone orders it. They're going to make sure that these things are done. And as a result, there is a correlation between seat time and student performance. When you get those two things together, you're going to see an improvement. But what's going to happen is that improvement after a while is going to plateau. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere after a while. And that operational leader is just going to try and hire as many people as they can to help them to come out of this plateau. They're going to start saying things like, that's not my strength. So I hire people that compliment me. Listen, it's so ridiculous. And I'm at a point now where I can say it's ridiculous. So it's ridiculous. I hire people so that they can compliment me, or my team is not good enough, but it's not the team, it's you. It's not the team, it's you. Okay. All right. That's a hard pill to swallow for some people because they've been getting accolades for being able to hire correctly. And this works in corporate too, but in any case, they've been able to do it and get away with it because they've been able to read people and just put them in the right places, right? And I'll talk more about that later. So that is an operational leader. That is the downfall of operational leadership, is that the good thing is you will see student improvement. The challenging thing is that eventually it's going to plateau. So if you have a person who's an operational leader and you put them in position and you see great things, what people usually do is promote them so fast, but you haven't allowed them to sit long enough to see if it's going to plateau, right? To see if you're really that good. And more times than not, I hate to say this, but I just have to be honest. Can I be honest? Let me see yes in the chat. Let me see a yes if I can be honest, okay? Because you hired the operational leader and we don't wait to see if they are really that good. But, okay, I see some yeses. The reality is they're not really that good. The people around them are that good, but they are not really that good. Okay. And so you really hired a lemon that's been able to infuse their environment with so much sugar, and you love the lemonade, but that person is really a lemon. Okay. So I said it and I'm not taking it back. Next. Okay. So before I go to the next one, now remember I said you need an operations person. You can't, you have to be able to think operationally as an instructional leader. But if that's the only strength that you have, then our children and our teachers are in a bind. Okay. And if the people around them don't infuse the atmosphere with that sugar so you can get lemonade, honey, you can forget it. That school is not going to improve anymore. Okay. They've added their flair and that's all they can do. Okay. Good to see you too, Sima. All right. Oh, we are at 151. Okay, guys, tag those people. All right, that's operations. And I don't think I have a lot of time, so let me try to fly through this, okay? If you want to spend more time with this, I am going to give you information so that you can connect with me and spend more time learning this in my coaching group. But anyway, where was I? Operations. All right, that's operations. I'm not going to ask you, are you operations here? But normally I would ask you, do you think that's your strength? Operations. Okay, I'm not going to do that to you. Now, the next level is culture. Thank you, Foja. Culture. A cultural leader. This is the person, man, they get all the jobs. They get all the jobs because everybody likes them. They are the people that shake hands and kiss babies. They get all the jobs. Everybody likes them. Okay. So here's the thing though, with a cultural leader, this is the person that's very intuitive. They know how to read people, man, and they can do some hiring, honey. When I tell you they can put people in the right places, they know exactly what to do. It doesn't mean that they know how to get student improvement, but they're very good at hiring other people that know how to get student improvement, and they've been able to get off. I'm telling you. Okay. The cultural person is the one that makes sure everybody feels good. They keep everyone feeling great, okay? They keep everyone happy. And usually that's their main priority, is to make sure there are no glitches in the culture. Because when you get a culture that is thriving, let me tell you, honey, it's like, I don't even have the words for it. But when you get a culture that's thriving, I always say school improvement, a turnaround school, when it's doing well, there's a sound that I can't explain, but it's like everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. That's culture. Okay. Yes, these people are people friendly. Everyone usually likes them. But that's unstable when you're trying to improve schools, because data forces me to make decisions that people don't like sometimes. And sometimes the cultural leader they don't have the ability to make those decisions, like placing a teacher, an experienced teacher, in a classroom of struggling students, and the classroom, the veteran teacher is saying, no, I have been here long enough. I need to I should be able to, or I am owed the opportunity to teach higher level kids now because I've been here long enough. That cultural leader, if they're not, grounded, they don't really have the fortitude to make the decision to say, no, I need you in this struggling students class, but I'll give you A, B, C, and D to help compensate for putting you here. They don't have that. They're thinking, I need Miss So-and-so to like me, or Mr. So-and-so to like me, or I don't need them to leave my school, yada, yada, yada. So cultural leaders, they're good if you're looking for an electrifying environment or a warm environment, or they're really good at that, right? But if they only operate in that, you're going to see that same climax here. And they're going to level off, okay? Going to level off. So culture is good because they always know what's happening in their building. And so because they do know everything that's happening in that building, and they can test the wind to see what we're feeling like today, they're able to be proactive in a lot of different areas because they can sense, they have empathy, they can connect with their people, they know how to make decisions emotionally, right? But when it's time to make decisions instructionally, sometimes that can be challenging for them, and it puts the school in a bind. Now, normally I would say, are you the cultural leader that I'm talking about? But I'm not going to ask you that today, okay? Now, the last layer. This layer is so prideful, right? These people, and I used to be one, okay? Maybe I am still kind of one, but I used to be this person. I used to operate in this last layer in isolation. And let me tell you, this last layer, it doesn't work either alone. You need all three. So the last layer, okay. Munir, they're asking about attendance posting, so make sure you can put that in there. Okay, if you're ready for the last layer, I need to see who's still with me now. And we're up to 164. That's so good. Okay, hey, keep tagging your people. This is the last layer. If you're ready, I want to see a yes in the chat. Let me see. Yes, if you're ready. Someone said me. Okay, good. I see a hand, thumbs up, hearts. I love it. I love the love here. Okay, good. Okay, are you finding operations, the information that I gave you so far? Are you finding this helpful for where you are? Are you finding this helpful for where you are? And you can just type in, this is helpful. I just want to know whether or not this is helpful or useful information for you. I need some water. Yep, I see. Yes. Christina said, of course. Very good. Extremely helpful. Very good. And some of you are working in schools that are challenging schools, and you're like, I have put together so many different strategies, and it is just not working, and I need some help. Okay, the attendance is in the chat now. I need some help. I don't know what else to do. I have done everything I know how to do, and that is the problem. You are doing everything that you know how to do, but until you have a combination of all three of these layers, it's not, you're going to get to a plateau here. Okay. All right, great. I'm glad it's useful. Very good. Ooh, somebody gave me some. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Okay, last layer. Now, this layer, I am ashamed to say that I was a part of. I worked this layer in isolation, right? And let me tell you, we are some of the most arrogant and prideful group of all three layers. This layer here is, this layer feels like, honey, I can do it all by myself. If I don't have any of you, I can do it by myself. And we take time to make operations feel bad about only being good in operations. We make the cultural people feel bad. We know what to say and do because we know the actual job. Listen, our actual job is learning. That's our job, learning. Okay? Humera, thank you so much. Our actual job is learning. And this last layer is skilled in our actual job. But how many of you know that just because you know the actual job, like there's context around the job that you also need to know so that you can get the job done, right? Yeah, there's context. You have to be able to do the cultural because I have to be able to play well with others. I have to know operations because I can't schedule events associated with this last layer and not know what else is happening in my school building. I can't do that. I can't. There's supposed to be a fire drill, and I'm scheduling other things associated with this last layer. Like you can't, and I'll get into more detail. Listen, the last layer is called curriculum and instruction. Boom. I need a mind-blowing emoji in the chat. Like, boom. Okay. It's called curriculum and instruction. Now, let's go with the positives of curriculum and instruction. We know the job. Those of you who are with me, if you were, this is the only chat that I'll do this with because this used to be me. I used to be only skilled in curriculum and instruction. Okay. Yes, the attendance sheet has been placed in the chat. If you scroll up, you'll see the link. Okay. The curriculum and instruction group. If you're with me and you're in that layer, I used to only operate in that layer alone. So the curriculum and instruction layer, if you're with me, just type in the chat, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let me know that I was not alone. I operated in isolation in curriculum and instruction, in the curriculum and instruction layer. And if that's you, I want you to put in the chat, I'm with you. Okay. All right. So curriculum and instruction, here's the positive thing. We know the job. We know about learning. First of all, we know how to, because curriculum only requires you being able to read and comprehend. So really a curriculum and instructions person, you can take them and put them in any content area and we will be fine. You know why? Because we're going to take the time to read the curriculum and make sure we understand at least a foundational portion of it before we interact with the teachers. Now, the teachers do appreciate that we respect their craft. I am math all day. I love math because to me it's simple. You can only do 4 things: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Like that's it. Okay. So I love math. It's very simple to me. But if you place me in science, because I'm a curriculum and instructions person, I'll be fine there too. Because I'm going to read and I am going to learn the foundations of it. And then I'm going to ask an expert to help me connect the dots. And then I'm going to teach it and I'm probably going to do fairly well. Okay. You can put me in a physics class. You can put me anywhere. And it doesn't even matter. Right. Okay. And so that layer is curriculum and instruction. Now here's the instruction. The other part of that, when we say curriculum and instruction, we think about it as one word, right? But the instruction part is how to teach it. Curriculum is what you're teaching. Instruction is how you are actually facilitating that, right? So we know what you're teaching and we know how to do it, which means we understand learning. We're always studying. We're always trying to be better. We are heavily endowed with data. We know how to execute. We know how to build data systems and we know how to collect data And when the data comes back and we know how to disaggregate it, let's go curriculum and instruction if that's you, because that was me. That was me. I'm telling you that all day. Here's the problem with curriculum and instruction, and I could go into more detail about the positives, but I'm not going to be with you all day. I only have a few more minutes. Here's the problem with curriculum and instruction. Are you ready? Or the problem with curriculum and instruction, or one of them, is that they get off the hook. They're not as on the hook as operations and culture, right? They get off the hook if you're curriculum and instruction because you know how to do the job. And so people automatically assume, because you know curriculum and instruction, that you are an instructional leader, and we are not. You are not an instructional leader if your only strong layer is curriculum and instruction. You are not. And here is why. Because you need operational prowess so that you're not scheduling professional development during a time that we need to conduct a fire drill, or so that you are not scheduling curriculum and instructional things or doing curriculum and instructional things above the day-to-day operations of the building, right? All those things have to work together, okay? The curriculum and instruction person, sometimes they do not know the students as well as they should, right? Sometimes they do not know. Now, the operations person and the culture people, they do know the students, right? So when the curriculum and instruction person is crafting and putting together plans, your stuff is not working because you're making a plan for people that you don't even know. You don't know those students. You don't know those teachers. So, excuse me. So when you're making the plan for the year, you're making the plan based on what's in your head and not what you actually have. And that's why you'll get so far, but no further. No further. Because your plan is for imaginary people and not the people that you're actually working with. Mind blown. I just helped somebody turn their school around. Right now, I felt it. I felt it. I just helped somebody. Okay? So you can't only be curriculum and instruction. And you know what else? People usually don't like the curriculum and instruction person because we're matter of fact. It is what it is. And when they don't have any cultural prowess, you can't get people to work with you. What good is having the best plan, but you don't have anyone to work with you? You can't get the plan up and going because no one likes you. And for some of you, you needed to hear that today, that your plan is not working because your people don't like you. And your people don't like you because you don't have cultural prowess. So you need all three layers. You can't only do operations. You can't just be a manager. You can't just go into school and just manage and let everybody else do the work. You cannot do that. You can't just be cultural because we can't do what people want all the time. And your scores or your progress is going to increase and plateau because it depends on how the people feel today. So you can't only be cultural. You're going to have to make decisions that are not popular, and you need to be okay that the decisions are not popular, but they're good for students, right? Or they're good for your staff, all of your staff. Because I am not a believer in we only do what's best for the kids, because the adults that's actually working with the kids, we have to do what's best for them too, for the teachers and the students, right? And you can't only be curriculum and instruction. You can't just do that because people won't follow you. You'll have a hard time getting people to follow you. You'll have a hard time getting people to buy into what you're building here. And you need people in order to get things done. You can't do anything by yourself. So Those are the 3 layers of instructional leadership, okay? But I find it difficult to convey an idea to my team who doesn't like to do too much stuff. What to do in this scenario, Dr. Deidrea? Oh, that's a great question. Okay. Now, me personally, I would want to know, why is my team, did you hire this team? That's what I want to know. Did you hire this team or did you inherit this team? Did you hire the team or did you inherit the team? That's what I want to know. Munir, if you can help me get that answer from this young lady. Did she hire the team or did she inherit it from a previous leader? So if you hired the team, and okay, if you hired the team, now we have to talk about, why did you hire them and they don't like to do a lot of stuff? What was your hiring process? If you inherited it from another leader, then this is just the transition of you becoming leader of someone else's people. That happens sometimes. So in this scenario, what I would do and what I hired, okay. So when you're hiring, or if you inherit it, right? Munir, keep that question on and let me answer Anne's question. So Anne, the way that I would go is through empathy questions, right? So empathy questions is what I use to be able to figure out my people. And I'll tell you 4 questions that I ask them. The first thing that I ask is, what are your strengths? What are your strengths? The second thing I ask is, what are your areas of growth? The third thing I ask, look at these balloons. Every time I do this. Okay. The third thing I ask is, what are some things we do well as a school or as a campus, as a district? What are some things we do well? And then the last thing that I ask them is, if you were principal for a day, what would you change? Or if you were leader for a day, what would you change? I take the answers from those questions, and that's how I place my people. So if you're in a position where you have to develop your team to being good in all 3 of these areas, then it's going to take you some time. But the first thing that you have to do is get them in the place where they thrive. Maybe whoever you hired is operational, or maybe whoever you hired is, maybe they're cultural. They need to be in the places where they thrive first so that they can be excited about what they do. Same thing we do with children, right? So they can be excited about what they do. And then as you build that momentum, you are responsible for developing them into that instructional leader. Okay? My team is also stubborn and doesn't want to implement new ideas. Same thing to you, Shobha. Same thing to you. Use those 4 questions. And I promise those 4 questions. And I can put the link in for those of you that are interested in joining our coaching group. But those 4 questions, and if you disaggregate the data from those 4 questions, I'm telling you'll know exactly what to do. All right, Melody says, I am just a member of the team, but it seems all the workload has been given to me. What should I do? Oh my goodness. Honey, I have done this so many times. But I want you to see where I am today is presenting in front of you. This has happened to me so many times, but I took advantage of it to turn it for my benefit. So what I did was I got mad, I griped, and I complained about it. But in the process, I was learning. And I would venture to say that a lot of the strategies and the things that I came up with to make schools better is because all the load was placed on me, because I had to do a lot of work. So what should you do? You should decide what area or how do you want your career, where are you going in your career first? And then decide if what is being placed on you is going to make you or prepare you for where you're going. If it is preparing you for where you're going, honestly, I would take it and I would learn in it. If it gets to the point where you can't handle it, there is nothing wrong with saying to your supervisor, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to complete this particular task. Is there a way for you to take these tasks so that I can better focus on this task that you're adding? There's nothing wrong with asking your supervisor to take something off your plate. Okay. All right. But if you can take it and learn from it, and you'll see yourself thriving. Things that are challenging to other people won't be challenging to you because you will have so much experience. So if you can take it, take it. But if you need to take something off your plate, there's nothing wrong with asking your supervisor to do that. And there's nothing wrong with no from your other team members too. If it's not your supervisor and they're saying do something, there's nothing wrong with no. Okay. Under a coordinator who's supporting my coordinator in giving suggestions for the whole primary team where the team doesn't like. Okay, so the team doesn't like it. And as I come from my head branch of my school, where I am now. So you are working under a coordinator that is giving suggestions for the whole team and the team doesn't like it. Now, here's the thing. Why doesn't the team like it? Now, are the suggestions that are coming from the coordinator appropriate, or does it work for the team? In the long run, is it going to work? If it's going to work in the long run, right, then we need to better explain to the team why we are doing what we're doing. Because the team is not going to like everything that has to be done. But if they understand why we have to do it, they will be more inclined to do it. Okay? So that's my answer there. Make sure they understand why. All right, so a cultural leader is someone who feels like what is written behind you. Blessed, not stressed. I like there's really so much in what she says. I wish she was my teacher. I can be your teacher and leader if you want to join my coaching group. I do have a coaching group that I have going on. If you want to be a part of that, then absolutely. You can schedule a time to meet with me. Let me see if I can put it in the chat. I cannot. Let's see. Can you share your views on Dr. Munir Moose's free knowledge sharing work? Yes, I can share my views. I will tell you that the information that you're receiving from these people that are coming here, for example, the information I'm giving you today is worth thousands. People pay me thousands of dollars to share the information that I'm sharing with you today for free. Now that should tell you something. So I think that what he's doing is giving you an opportunity to get world-class professional development for free. I think the word free in the question, I think that sums it up. That says it all, right? That you're getting all of this information for free. I love answering questions, though. Do I have any other questions in the chat? I will definitely work upon your suggestion to change my team. Good, Shoba. And I want to keep up with you. I want to make sure that you can keep up with me. It can be easier to write on paper than to put into practice. Yes, it is easier to write on paper than to put into practice. And that is every single thing that we do every single day. Every single thing. So absolutely, it is easier to write on paper than to put into practice. Now, when I was strictly a curriculum and instructions person, when I operated out of that layer, and Munir, I'm going to need you to put that back up. Oh, never mind. When I operated out of that layer, the way that I became skilled in every other layer was I heavily leaned on my team members who were operations. So I would put together my plan, and then I had to become vulnerable to all of my teammates and give them an opportunity to butcher my plan according to their lens. Like, and sometimes that was painful, sometimes it wasn't. But as we progressed, I actually spent so much time with them, and I was observing them, how I would answer a question one way, they answered a question another way, and the teacher or whoever, they would um they would understand it better from my colleague than they did from me. And I'm like, we said the same thing, but it was the way the cultural person said it. It was the fact that the cultural person understood their background, that they loved dogs, and was able to ask them about, how's your dog doing? I noticed your dog was sick. You posted that on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I mean, so much other context that me as the curriculum and instruction person, I'm like, can't we just come here and do our job? Why can't we just come do our job? Why do I have to know about their dog? Why do I have to know about, I don't want to know. But I watched it, and then I was faced with a decision. I had to decide. Now I can stay the curriculum and instructions person, right? And hard-nosed, arrogant, and prideful, and just keep going that way. Or I can submit to what I just saw, what I just observed. And what I just observed was this same person who heard me say it the way I said it responded in a positive manner when my colleague said it. And my colleague was very strong in cultural leader, like they were very strong in that. So you know what I did? I humbled myself and I adopted that strategy. I kept adopting strategies that work. And then eventually I became this instructional leader, and I understood. So now when my team is fussing, about whose job is more important, I understand from all three lenses why they're saying this. And I'm the one that's quiet. I don't really have a lot to say because I'm taking in what everyone else is saying, and I'm creating a plan, and I'm going for it. That's what the instructional leader is, right? 3 thinks I love you. You are the best. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What a nice and insightful view we hear from this webinar. Insightful webinar. Very good. I'm so glad, you guys. Munir, I need to be able to share my link.
Sure, please.
Okay. Let me see. How can I do this? Because I don't see where I can make the comment, where I can add to the chat. Oh, I know. Let's do this. Oh, guys, I get it. Let's go this way. Let's go this way. Hold on, guys. Be patient with me now. I'm trying. Here we go. Okay. Let me add it as a comment. Okay. I just added it to our chat, so you should have it. If you're interested in being part of my coaching group, and having access to me and getting this type of information, then you need to click and schedule an appointment with me, and we'll talk about how we can make that happen. Okay? You are so welcome, Ferdinand. Ferdinand, I think you've been in my sessions on LinkedIn, have you not? Maybe. I'm not sure. I think I've seen you. Thank you so much, Alina. No problem. And I love you guys too. I love you guys too. Thank you so